Meeting will come to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the September the 15th, 2025 meeting of the Caswell County Commissioners. If you would, please join me in a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. All right, looking down the agenda, item 4, the consent agenda. You've had a chance to look over our minutes from the last meeting. Any corrections or additions to these minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes tonight's meeting agenda and the minutes from our previous meeting?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would like to add the water agreement between the town of Yanceville to the agenda for tonight.
All right, that will become item 13, and we'll just drop a number as we go on down below 13. Any objections to adding that to the agenda? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Announcements and recognitions. I'll start with you, Commissioner Claggett.
Fourth Wednesday of every month, there's coffee and conversation. Any and all veterans at the Senior Center. The Senior Center also provides fourth Wednesday of every month, there's coffee and conversation for any and all veterans at the Senior Center. The Senior Center also provides a veteran service officer twice monthly to answer questions and provide assistance with possible claims.
Commissioner Ingram, Commissioner Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of citizens either here tonight or listening wouldn't have had any idea, but this week, our 911 center actually had a conversion up to the new consoles that they will be operating and a lot of upgrades to the 800 system. The reason you didn't know it is because they did a tremendous job. I would like to just recognize Mr. Everett and all the staff down there for their hard work. I think they got this accomplished in about 2 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes, sir. Tonight, I'd like to recognize our finance department for doing an outstanding job of catching up our backlog of financial reporting to the state. Not only do we have 24 ready to go to print, we're on schedule to have 25 on time this year. And tonight we have a current interim statement. So congratulations.
All right, Commissioner Totten.
I'm good.
Commissioner Holt. All right. Moving on down to public comments. Do we have anybody, Mr. Whitaker?
We have no one signed up this evening.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, item 7, financial report. Gentlemen, you have received a monthly financial report for August. No action is required on this. Is there any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Clay.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what exactly is the special separation trust that is listed in the current county financial update?
And could you tell me where that's listed?
It's on page 4, I think.
I will tell you, I do not know, and I will find out.
Mr. Manager. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't that the special separation allowance for law enforcement that have retired?
That's probably it.
Yep, I think that's what it is.
Any other questions? All right. Next, we have a presentation from Ron Lewis, Foundation Forward Incorporation on the Charters of Freedom Project. Mr. Lewis, if you'd come forward, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me, Commissioners?
Yes, sir.
What a pleasure it is to be with you tonight. I've been in most courthouses in North Carolina, but let me say that I've never been in a prettier courthouse or more appropriate county commissioners meeting area than what you have in your beautiful county. Your building is stunning. And it can compete with any courthouse in the state of North Carolina. Now, I say that with a little bit of authority because I was a county manager for over 30 years. My colleague, who is going to speak to you for just a few minutes, Jeff Morris, is a city manager for over 30 years. So he and I together bring 70 years of experience in local government management. I no longer have to please 5 or 7 different personalities in my day-to-day work. I just have fun every day because I get to talk about the Charters of Freedom and the founding fathers of this great country and how all this came about. Before we get into our presentation, we have a short video that we'd like to show you. It tells the story better than I can tell it. And then I'll pick up after the video is shown.
I want to tell you about the principles of Foundation Forward. The number one principle of Foundation Forward is education. No matter what you take from this experience, it all goes back to education. Education on American history to preserve that history surrounding the time of the founding of our country. Education on government, so all will know how government is meant to serve and protect we the people. Number 2 is access. You see, not everyone can get to Washington, to the National Archives. We want to provide access to these founding documents in communities in a proper setting. And number 3 is community. Having your Charters of Freedom allows your community a place where they can gather to celebrate, to honor, and to reflect. People ask us, why are we doing this? And we tell them, yes, it's very expensive, but it's more important than money. We believe it gives us a direct link to our founding fathers by helping to preserve what it is they gave this country, a government to serve and protect we the people. If you want a monument or a setting to last, you put more underground than above ground. These are not tip-over monuments. Your foundation goes down 3.5 feet. It is solid, reinforced poured concrete coming up into a solid, reinforced core. Just the core and foundation of the center display weighs over 38,000 pounds, over 19 tons. There are 6 documents displayed. All are life-size, which means the Declaration of Independence is a little larger than the others. Each one is on 1/4-inch etched bronze and weighs over 60 pounds. There is a Charters of Freedom medallion on the front, which is very special. The eagle represents the Declaration of Independence, proud, bold, defiant. The 7 stars above the eagle represent the 7 articles of the United States Constitution. The 10 stars under the eagle represent the first 10 amendments, your Bill of Rights. From the beginning, this has been an education project. We learned we had two founding fathers who were very big on education, Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin. These two believed that in order to have a free and independent country, you must understand how government works, that you cannot control what you do not understand. Thomas Jefferson in 1789 said, "Educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty." And James Madison wrote in 1822, "A people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power knowledge gives." Our hope is that our future leaders will come from communities where they have their own charters of freedom set, that your children will no longer grow up just talking about the Constitution and Bill of Rights of Washington. They'll be talking about their United States Constitution and their Bill of Rights, the ones they grew up with, right in your own community. My question is, are you ready to be a part of history? Because we're going to dedicate your charters of freedom. It's going to be here for the next 300 to 500 years, and your future generations are going to know you were here.
That's our story. That does a much better job of presenting our story than I can. However, questions of me. Up until a year ago, when I would make these presentations of North Carolina, I would say that we haven't spent any tax dollars. Well, I can't say that anymore because the North Carolina legislature teamed up with us. We have built and dedicated 55 charters of freedom in North Carolina. Our goal, although we might not be able to do that, would be to finish the 45 counties remaining before the sesquicentennial of the Declaration of Independence. There's a bill in the Appropriations Committee now that would give us sufficient funds to finish those 45 counties in North Carolina. But suffice it to say, we have money in hand to build your charters of freedom. We will build a setting as it's illustrated in the National Archives building in Washington. Declaration of Independence is on the left. The 4 pages of the Constitution are in the middle. The original proposed Bill of Rights is on the right, and we have added a pedestal that completes the circle that has the Civil Rights Amendments, the 13th, 14th, 15th, 19th, and 24th Amendments, which makes us all the same, regardless of your gender or the color of your skin. The Constitution is the same for all Americans and not just as originally passed by our founding fathers. You know, interestingly enough, when Jefferson left Virginia to go to Philadelphia, he carried with him something called the Virginia Papers. The Virginia Papers repealed slavery. He wasn't in Philadelphia very long before he realized that he didn't have the votes to make that happen. However, the brilliance of the moment was to put language within the document that allowed it to be amended as our country changed, as things change over time. The 13th, 14th, 15th, 19th, and 24th Amendments finally passed, making us all Americans under the Constitution of this great country. We propose to build that in your county at no cost to the county. Now, let me make that perfectly clear, and I'll turn it over to my colleague in just a moment. We will build exactly what is built in Washington, D.C. at the charters, as the Charters of Freedom at the National Archives building. Any enhancements to that, sidewalks, beautification of the location, that kind of stuff would be a local responsibility. Mr. Attorney, we will enter into a document called a letter of intent. You probably know it as a memorandum of understanding. That's what the School of Government in Chapel Hill would call it. In our world, we call it a letter of intent that spells out what we will be doing and what the county would be doing. Now, let me, for a moment, tell you why I'm here with the county. Our gift is to all the citizens of this beautiful county. It's appropriate that we gift our charters of freedom through the county because you represent all the citizens of the county. Now, we'll be working very closely with the town, and the site that we have selected to build on is on their property. So I'll be presenting to them a similar presentation to the one I'm giving you tonight at their meeting next month. And we will partner with both local governments to build the charters of freedom. Now, from this day forward, if you have any questions whatsoever, I want you to have my cell number and my colleague Jeff Morris's cell number, and feel free to call us at any time. We will be your liaison, your contact. If you have any questions, there is no question too small. There's no question too large that we wouldn't love to address for you. I'm going to take just a moment to see if you have any questions of me before I ask Jeff to finish up our presentation. Do you have any questions, Mr. Chairman?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you so much. Jeffrey?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my presentation will be short. Primarily, my responsibility is to make sure Foundation Forward and your county personnel, as well as the city's rep who owns the property, are coordinated and understand what each position or each party is responsible for. I sent a copy to the county manager and your attorney, an example of what we call the memorandum of understanding and the amendments. This is Columbus County. They've already signed theirs and they had no problem with me giving this as an example. But what this spells out, for example, is we would ask you to appoint a person of contact, the key person that we will be working with to go over charters of freedom's responsibilities, the county's responsibilities, and the city's responsibility. They will also appoint a person of contact. And I will coordinate those groups and we will work out the necessary details that accommodate your wishes, as well as the city councils and your staff, to make sure at the time this is signed by the chairman, so hopefully by the chairman, everyone is on the same page, knows what their expectations are. The reason I emphasize that, we have learned in the past, working with the other counties, that sometimes there's some confusion as to whether or not who's responsible for what. And as was demonstrated in this picture, we provide the charters of freedom, the pillars, the brickwork, the capstones, the documents. If there's any ancillary needs, such as concrete aprons or grass aprons, lighting to light the pedestals inside, then, for example, if the county or the city wanted to have it lit inside so you could read the documents at night, then the county or the city would hire or get an electrical person to come in, run it to tell us what it would cost, run it to the back of the setting, and distribute it among the 7 pillars. That would be the county's responsibility, or cities, or whoever, if they so wish to have that. If they want a concrete apron that goes up to the pedestals, or it could be a grass strip, whatever, again, it's an option that the recipients have to choose from. But the actual construction of the Charter of Freedom is our gift to the county. And so we would work very closely with your staff, get everything worked out, and then represent it, the letter of intent, the addendums, to satisfy your county manager, your county attorney, and of course, the county commissioners. That's our commitment to getting this done. Any questions from that point of view?
I think so.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, may I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
If all counties in North Carolina had a Fred Smith, I wouldn't have a job. He's going to make sure that this happens according to your standards and ours. And we, pronoun plural, are very fortunate to have a Fred Smith. If you can figure out a way to clone him for the other 99 counties, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
one last comment too. If there's any action the council, the commission can take this evening, at least give an indication that you would like to move forward, it would help expedite this process. We're not asking you to formally approve it tonight, but just an indication that there's support for moving forward with all the different work that has to be done. That's basically what we're hoping to receive tonight.
I'm going to defer to the county attorney. Have you looked over the memorandum or the letter of intent?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I was given a draft of a template agreement that has been used in another county in North Carolina prior to the meeting. I've not had a chance to review it in depth, but I'll be glad to do so if the board directs me.
We're not asking you to approve that tonight.
Right,
No,
right,
no, sir.
right. What's the consensus of the board?
I'm for.
I don't hear any opposition. I'll put it like that for tonight.
Mr. Chairman, you made our day. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, while we have these gentlemen here, if I could just make one point of clarification. So on the screen, a site that they have been talking about with the towns, of course, this is our courthouse, the municipal building, the Yanceyville's municipal building, and the site I believe you're interested in is somewhere in this area in front of that existing this dark grass area. So somewhere right in that area is where Mr. Smith has been talking with the town of Yanceyville about.
And y'all will be meeting with the town when?
October 7th at their council.
Okay, all right. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, moving on down, discussion items, the school procurement process and resolution. Mr. Whitaker.
So back with our budget process this summer, we ended up with an appropriation for the school system, for specifically for the school capital reserve fund of $888,000, and that was to be used for various improvement projects in the school system. At the time, the board wanted to ensure that the maintenance and repair projects were completed by the school system, and the board was eager to get started on those projects and make those improvements. And both boards at the time talked about wanting some clarity about procurement, progress reporting, distribution of the allocations. So some of myself and some of finance staff met with school staff recently, and we talked about just covered some things that are covered about county school funding and the statutes. And a few of those things quickly are the Board of Commissioners appropriates money to the school system, approves certain board contracts, and those identified within the budget process involves repairs and or systems replacement. So we're not talking about with those projects building new schools, enlarging schools. We're talking about some major improvement projects, roofing, HVAC, et cetera. And also that second bullet point, that statute requires the school system to use a uniform budget format so that all parties are on the same page about the capital outlay fund and showing those county allocations. The next statute requires that the Board of Education adopt a budget resolution as dictated within the statute. That's a little challenging for them this year, given the state's budget situation. But we have talked about that and what would satisfy the county in that regard. So what you have in your agenda packets is this memo. And it again clarifies the 888,000 where that money is allocated to. And there's a process, and this is the core part of this conversation. And this is what is proposed. So with authorization, the board would adopt a formal spending process resolution specifying the capital projects and allocation of these capital reserve funds. And I think that could be accomplished and memorialized in a pretty simple resolution that really mimics what you're seeing on screen. For the project management portion of this, both the school system and the school system would do the bidding and managing all approved projects in compliance with the procurement laws and regulations that apply to school systems. For invoicing, we're proposing that school system submit their vendor invoices and supporting documentation to the county finance officer for review, who in turn verifies compliance with the approved spending process resolution, authorizes payment, and releases those funds back to the school system within 10 business days of receipt for them to pay the vendor. And the duration would be, for this procedure, would be in effect until all approved projects are completed and or the allocated capital reserve funds are fully expended. And then on the reporting side of this, the school system shall provide periodic progress reports to this board for projects. We're not talking about anything overly in depth there, but just the projects, the basic timelines and estimated cost. And the rest of this memo specifies capital outlay funds of $400,000. And this is part of their annual operating budget that's distributed in equal monthly payments. And those funds are specifically to be used at the discretion of the school board for capital needs. They don't require project approval by the county. So in summary, this memo really captures a process that the school system needs, and I think that we need, just so everyone's on the same page in terms of how this 888,000 is allocated to capital projects. They are ready. The school system are ready to start bidding and moving forward with some of those repairs. And the request this evening is really just to make sure that you don't have any questions or issues with this process. It's listed this evening for discussion only. One possible outcome, if you like what you see and hear in terms of the process, you could direct the attorney to draft a resolution that in essence covers what I just went over. And that could be brought back at the October 6th meeting for a vote, if you would like to consider that.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
During budget discussion, Scott, we discussed having the school board provide multiple bids on capital projects as if it were county money has been spent. Is that going to be the case?
Yes. So what it says specifically about that, and it's under number item 2, project management, the school system shall bid and manage all approved projects. So their procurement laws and regulations may not be exactly what the counties are. So this puts the onus on them to follow their regulated processes and formal bidding processes that are allowed by the state for schools to use.
Thank you.
And we do have the superintendent and finance officer here if they have any corrections to anything or anything to say, it would be a good time to ask them. Have I mainly represented the way you understand it to be? Okay.
Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to have the attorney draft a resolution? I think it's in reference to item 1. Am I correct there, Mr. Whitaker? It's what the recommended motion would be. Item 1 is authorization.
Right. It would be that part about the formal spending process resolution. So if you directed the attorney to do that, that resolution would look similar to what you see. It would really just memorialize this process. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
That's correct, Mr. Whitaker.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Claggett. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Ingram. Discussion time. Is there any?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Stokes, staff, thank y'all for being here tonight. I have no doubt in my mind that the money that we did appropriate will go to the projects that we saw. Myself, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Ingram went out and saw some much needed repairs. And that's why this board worked, excuse me, as hard as we did to get that money to where we could get these projects taken care of, not only for to stop some issues that would, if not corrected, would further be, cost effective to the taxpayers, but also to the students. And appreciate y'all being patient with us, and hopefully we can get this thing underway. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in, excuse me, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. And that's all the action we need to take on this tonight, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. All right, item 10, the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee.
So we've been talking about our comprehensive plan update, which would include a land use plan component. And this board approved the contract for that in August. And at the time I talked about the need as part of the process for a steering committee that will meet up to 6 times during the course of this project. And their purpose would be to provide citizen community input and feedback on existing conditions, public meeting input, and proposed recommendations. And that work would be facilitated by PTRC, so Piedmont Triad Regional Commission. And that is who we have the contract with for this project. So we have our planning director here this evening, and he had attached the memo that's in your packet, and that proposes a 21-member steering committee. I told you this was going to be large, and that slate of folks involves 19 applicants and 2 positions for commissioners to serve in that capacity. And be glad to answer any questions about meeting times, locations, et cetera. I'm not sure how much of that is set yet, or none of that is set yet, but that will be something that you'll want to consider for yourselves for the 2 commissioner seats. And just the reason that this is on the agenda under discussion is because it is a big committee. It is a new committee. It does involve a couple of commissioner appointments. Otherwise, this would be down under appointments in its normal spot, but I thought you may want a little more time with it. But again, this evening's requested action, it's really just on here for discussion unless you are ready to act. And if so, I provided an approach there where you could appoint either the entire slate as presented and name 2 commissioner members to serve, or you could appoint these members individually. Go ahead to answer any questions about it.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Scott, I noticed that this is a 21-member board, and just so happens you've got exactly 21 people listed tonight. Is that to say that there were some that were not considered or not presented to the board? Or are we still taking applications, or where do we stand on that?
That process began, and I'll let Mr. Watlington speak to it, but that process began with a conversation between myself, planning director, and Jesse Day, the planning director at PTRC, who might be, what areas of the county needed to be represented. And before I get into that too much, I'll let Mr. Watlington ask the composition of that.
So I used the number from basically 2014. 2014 steering committee was comprised of approximately 20 individuals. I did speak with Jesse Day, the planner for Piedmont Triad Regional, and he suggested that I build this committee myself to a certain degree. I don't mean that to be disrespectful. So I had to come up with my way of determining this board. So what I did was I wanted to serve all geographic locations within the county so we can have a variety of views and knowledge bases. So if you will notice from our old 2014 comprehensive plan, things to consider were school system, parks and rec, forestry, health department, Piedmont Community College, business owners, land development, forestry, realty, existing infrastructure. So I tried to find someone that could represent each of those. Now, I do want the public and the board to understand that just because they are the steering committee, they're not necessarily going to make the final and important decisions. We will have community meetings, and I'm going to urge and I'm going to try to advertise and get out into these communities to get our citizens to come out, because the citizens are going to be the major voice of this whole project. What the citizens bring to the table, the steering committee will then go in and bring forth the most important out of that. The planning board will be somewhat involved, but then we will bring that, the steering committee per se, will bring that to you all for a final vote. So I did develop the 19 members from the best of my knowledge and ability to act as the steering committee. But I will say that if there's, per your vote, if I need to go back to the drawing board, I can do so.
And I will add that I've been through a similar land use plan steering committee process with specifically PTRC. And one of the things I observed about that process was that steering committee was pretty small, and it ultimately was dominated by just a few voices. And this is one of those instances where I think bigger is better, and a larger committee would in the end be most likely more representative of all the communities and stakeholder groups in Caswell.
Any other comments? Discussion? We have 2 slots for county commissions. Do we have volunteers?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I don't have an issue with serving on the steering committee, if it is okay with at the pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
since I represent Caswell on the PTRC board, if it so pleases the board, I'd be willing to serve on that board as well.
All right, have Commissioner Rose, Commissioner Smith. Any other of you gentlemen interested? Mr. Claggett?
I have previous experience with the former comprehensive plan, plus planning board and Board of Adjustment experience also.
All right. Anyone else? Well, we've got 3 volunteers and 2 slots. Let's see here. Are we limited to 2, Mr. Wallington, or is that up to the board?
That is up to the board, Mr. Chair.
If when somebody volunteers to serve on a committee such as this, I hate to turn and say, no, you can't do that. We're already full. What's the pleasure of the board?
Want to make a motion to expand it to 3?
All right. You have 3 volunteers, Commissioners Rose, Smith, and Claggett to serve on the steering committee. I have a motion from Commissioner Holt to appoint these 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Totten. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. So you will have 3 commissioners, looks like, Mr. Wallington. Now, that would bring us to a total of 22 members of this board. Do I have a motion we approve this slate of members, or is this something y'all would like to wait on till the next meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the 22 members stated on the list.
All right, have a motion from Commissioner Smith. Have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, you have your committee, Mr. Wallington.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. All right, moving on down under action items, the County Commissioners Rules of Procedure. Mr. Whitaker, I'll throw it back to you.
So we discussed this topic at the last meeting at length. We went through each of the changes that was listed as a discussion item at that meeting. And I will scroll through these changes, and really the only change that received much discussion at the last meeting had to do with rule number 27. And the discussion there was not so much about the proposed change of adding this rule may be waived at the board's discretion, which is a common rule that you waive. But the discussion was over the dollar amount, which says no votes on expenditures for off-budget spending in excess of 10,000 shall be held unless tabled from a prior meeting. There was a higher number discussed at the time. There was some other thought that maybe any change to this particular dollar amount should wait till after the audits are complete, I believe, if I'm representing that correctly. But I'll be glad to discuss any proposed change, whether it's this one or elsewhere in the document.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, we've had this thing in front of us for approximately 3 weeks now since it was originally sent out. Any questions, concerns? Yes, sir, Mr. Clay.
I'd like this recorded verbatim. Continued board's discretion allowed this county to fail in its required financial responsibilities. Since emergencies are already addressed, why manipulate Rule 27 and affect public input regarding public funds? I can't find anything in the rules of procedure that outlines the process for allowing or disallowing items to be placed on the public agenda. Shouldn't that be addressed? And shouldn't that process be in compliance with an example provided in Section 2 of the Code of Ethics for the Board of Commissioners of Caswell County, North Carolina. Wouldn't you think a request by a public entity to be placed on the agenda is legitimate and important to the public? Are we not here for the public?
Any other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
I feel like we need to be open with the public and have them where they have their time to react to what we're doing instead of us being able to change it in a meeting and approve something.
Are you talking about the dollar amount on
Yeah.
item 27? And for my part, I would rather it stay as is for now. You know, if we get these audits completely caught up and we look like we're on solid financial ground, it might be something we could visit at a later date, but this is just me talking. I don't want the other 6 of you gentlemen all have an opinion on a vote. But I would prefer 27 to stay as is at the $10,000 mark.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I concur with your recommendation. That was what I kind of brought out last week, is once the audit, excuse me, once the audit's complete and we're on a path that I feel like that we're headed in the right directions, and we may be able to revisit it. But as of right now, I think we just need to leave it where it's at. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Just for the public's benefit, I covered this at the last meeting when I introduced this topic, but the impetus for changing this document was all of this yellow rule number 33 that you see on the screen. It was really about the general statute change this past spring related to recommendations from a political party. And so that was in conflict, and that statutory language has changed. So that's, if you're in the audience and you're looking at the screen, all of this markup at the end of the document is really just taking out the past statutory language and replacing it with the current language that applies to Caswell County.
Any more discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve the revised rules of procedure for the Board of County Commissioners?
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ingram,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 12, the Danville Caswell Water and Sewer Services Agreement. Mr. Whitaker.
So I'll set this up and then turn it over to our attorney, but just as a reminder, this topic came up at a request from a developer in terms of the notice requirement in the existing Danville Caswell County Water Sewer Agreement. And the request or the concern was that the 3-year termination clause for either party wasn't sufficient time if either party wanted to make a change. So this board approved some changes of eliminating some of that wording, and that's in your packet. That's what was stricken in item 2. And that was forwarded to the city of Danville for consideration. And they had a different approach to this, and I'll turn that over to the attorney to talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. So as the board may recall, the county has a water agreement with the city of Danville regarding Pelham Industrial Park. It's been in place since 1990, and there's been multiple amendments made to it over the years. And one amendment or one clause in the agreement that was of concern to this board and to developers in Pelham Industrial Park was the 3-year notice, which we felt, or the board felt, that could be problematic for developers that invest their infrastructure in the park. So the Danville City Council adopted a resolution to modify this particular amendment from a 3-year notice to a 5-year notice. And if the board chooses to move forward with adopting the agreement that the city of Danville proposes, then the appropriate motion would be move to adopt the 7th Amendment to the May 24th, 1990 Danville Caswell Water and Sewer Services Agreement as presented and approved by the city.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
this is certainly a step in the right direction, going from 3 to 5 years. But I think that we as a county need to look beyond that and have a backup plan, whether it be the steering committee to discuss it, economic development, but we can't be totally reliant on the city of Danville to keep our industrial park supply with water and sewer.
Any other comments?
I noticed that the county manager said that there wasn't a signature by the board chair. I don't understand that. Has the board chair signature been on other agreements?
I think it's, didn't it say that what they sent from Danville?
Yes, so it appeared that they assumed that this had already been adopted just because we had some conversation about it, the managers had, and the attorneys. So they simply signed the document and left, and when I say they signed it, their board approved the amendment. Their city manager, Ken Larkin, signed it. So I think just for consistency's sake, they added county administrator or manager, same thing, for their document. If you would prefer that the board chair sign that on our end, that could probably be accommodated without a problem.
But the reason I brought that up is my research told me that in North Carolina, a Board of Commissioners chairman must sign an agreement when the full board has legally approved the contract, usually through a majority vote and a public meeting. The chairman's signature is a formal administrative step, follows the board's official decision rather than a matter of independent authority. So why not have the signature?
I'll speak to what authority parties have to sign contracts at least, and that's with the county, for instance. The board chair can sign, the county manager can sign, the public health director can sign contracts, and the DSS director can sign contracts. Sometimes, depending on the document, a board chair signs. Sometimes they delegate that to the manager, but the attorney might have more to say about that.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. And Commissioner Claggett, thank you for bringing that up, because I think that it would be prudent for the board to have the board chairman sign off on this document. I think that may have just been a minor oversight, but if the board so chooses to approve this motion, then within that motion, you could advise the board chair to sign off on the agreement.
What has past practice been?
From my understanding, Commissioner Claggett, at least as it relates to the agreement with the city of Danville, I do believe that the prior chairs of the board have signed off on the document. But I could look that up in a few seconds.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes, sir, Commissioner Rose.
if Danville had not changed this agreement, we wouldn't even be voting on this, correct?
That's correct.
So we had to wait till Danville actually changed it from 3 to 5 for us to even vote on it as a actual document.
That's
And-
correct, Commissioner Rose.
And just to be clear, the city council did approve this. So even though the city manager signed it, it was by authority of the council.
Thank you.
Forgive me, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
It's,
all right.
it's quite a long document. So the original agreement was signed off on by the Danville city manager, the city clerk, the board, this board's chairman and the clerk. But that being said, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I don't think there's an issue with the county manager signing off on this agreement. I just believe that the past practice has been that the chairman of the board signs off.
Well, we could both sign it, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, do I have a motion that we approve this new amendment to the Danville and Castle Water Agreement?
I make a motion that we approve the new amendment.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rose. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, the added item, the water billing agreement between, I reckon it'd be between the county and the town. And you should all have a copy of that in front of you. Mr. Whitaker, I believe that's going to be on you too.
So I received this signed agreement, signed from the mayor of Yanceyville this afternoon. We had sent this agreement to the town several weeks ago, and this board had directed our attorney to draft this document and send it. And it needs this board's signature. And technically, this board hasn't approved this document in a public meeting, and I think it would be wise to do that. So it's before you. You each have a copy. It's on the screen. It's pretty simple as to the content of it. Basically, our agreement with the city of Danville says that in an emergency water situation, which Yanceyville is currently utilizing, the billing customer is Caswell County per this agreement that dates back to 1990, but that specific amendment, number 6, dates back to 2010. So this is just the agreement that you directed the attorney to forward to the town.
Yes, this is the agreement we asked the county attorney to draw up and have the town council consider, and they approved it. Now it's back before us where we need to give final approval. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Manager, this bill comes in kind of listed funny. It's got the school, it's got, and I guess it's going to have to stay like that due to the fact that that's how that was originally set up.
Yeah, let me walk you through that real quick. And we have the school system here, and we had a meeting about this on Friday. So technically, the county is the should be the recipient of that bill, but the only user of that water has been the school system for the school on 86. And because of that, the billing has been coming to them for years, correct? And so instead of recognizing this as a different emergency water situation, I believe Danville did what they've always done with this line, this trunk line that comes out of the city, and they sent the bill to the school system. So you have the county as technically the recipient. From a practical standpoint, it's always been going to the school system. And then what really matters to us is that the town is the one that is the entity to be paying this bill. So and I've had an extensive conversation with Danville about this billing. And rather than mess up, if you will, that billing relationship between Danville and the school system, they will be sending these bills to the school system, but they're also sending at the same time, emailing a copy to the county, so I'll know what that is, and to the town, so they will know what it is. So the way this plays out is the bill gets sent to the school system. The school system immediately calculates their portion, because they typically will probably owe $2,000 to $2,500 or so of that bill. And then the bulk of that bill or that calculated amount gets immediately sent to the town of Yanceyville. And it's their understanding they are responsible, per this agreement that you just approved, to pay that bill on time. And does that answer your question about the process?
Yes, it answers my question about the process, and I guess it answers that all three are on the same page. As far as
Yes, we
working
should
through it.
all know what's happening with these bills.
All right, thank you.
Just, the first one did have a large billing mistake on it. Actually, that Commissioner Smith pointed out early on. They were billing for the sewer, and the only sewer component is actually that which the school system gets for the school. So we've got that all sorted out, and we should be in good shape.
Any other questions? I have a motion to approve the agreement.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Rose, second from Commissioner Claggett. Any more discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Down to appointments and reappointments. JCPC, we have Brenda Day and Kyle Warren Love.
So we made two appointments at the last meeting, I believe, and this is a continuation of that effort to get this particular board fully staffed as far as council members, JCPC council members. And what you have this evening is two applicants, Brenda Day and Kyle Warren Love. And in the packet, you have the applications for both. And like last time, we also have a provided roster by Caitlin Webster there. And the reason that this roster is provided is because that is maintained in keeping with really the state statute dictates a lot of the composition of this board. And so what you have on the roster, and of course, this is pending your approval for Brenda Day, that would be a reappointment. And she is already listed as member number 20 on this board. And then you have, if appointed, Kyle Warren Love, which would be a new appointment. And he's listed as 18 to show you the slot on the roster.
All right, do I have a motion to appoint these two individuals?
So move.
Motion from Commissioner Totten,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. They are appointed. All right, reports and updates, Mr. Manager.
So a few things, Cherokee Tobacco groundbreaking. That is something that's being initiated. Mr. Ken Bowman will be meeting with Cherokee Tobacco's president soon. I believe he is out of the country at the moment. And as soon as he's back, he is trying to coordinate a groundbreaking ceremony with the North Carolina EDA. And I'll keep you posted on that. And we still, on another topic, do not have our Department of Labor or OSHA report that we've been talking about. I had earlier reported that we expected that in mid-September. Still don't have that, but I believe we're getting close to being able to receive that. Of course, when we do, we've got a short turnaround and we'll have to meet with them to talk about our efforts in that regard. And on the flip side of that, our safety committee has its next meeting tomorrow, actually, and continuing to focus on improvements in that area. Earlier, the audits were mentioned, and I concur that finance department is doing a tremendous job with that. But with that said, we are currently at the mercy of our auditors. So I had told you earlier that while our part would be done around the end of August, but the financial statements would bleed into September, that is now apparently going to bleed into October. And I think the short reason is that these auditors are slammed with other audits, and they're trying to get the current ones done first, and we're not as high on their priority list. And I'm sorry that if that's a disappointment, but we're at the mercy of those auditors. So we believe that that will be finished in the statements in October. And what that means for us is that that will move back our appointment date with OGC for our applications for some other financing, because those audits are supposed to be in 2 months before. So let's say the 24 audit is supposed to be in 2 months before the board considers our application. The LGC, the Local Government Commission, considers that. So we're working with Davenport on a plan of all we can do in the interim. And one of those items is to issue a RFP for the bank financing. So we're working on that, and I'll keep you posted more on that whole process. On a positive note, the sheriff's office successfully auctioned off 9 vehicles this past Saturday, and we're freeing up some impound room, and glad that was a success. And that's all I have this evening.
Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief update on the county's delinquent tax collection process. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in the case of Caswell County versus John Wayne Pass in file number 24 CVD 262, this complaint was filed several months ago, and we finally received service on all parties, and we expect to have a sale of this property next month if the taxes are not paid. And this property is located at 8265 Old Highway 29 in Pelham. And I'll have more updates for you in the closed session.
Commissioner, questions and comments? I'll start with you, Mr. Smith.
So I just got one thing pertaining to the audits. It sounds like 24 is just a matter of getting it to print and presenting it. But do we have a verbal agreement with auditors to take on the 25 audit without a contract, or are we in line? We're not going to lose our slot with them.
Yeah, that is, as far as we know so far, that's still scheduled for by December 31st. Although I will say it concerns me a bit that we're pushed back to October. But as far as we know now, they're still on track for the end of the year for
Okay,
25.
do we have to have 24 completed prior to signing a contract for 25?
Not before signing of the contract.
So is that something we should consider?
Let me double check with Ms. Sharp on that, because I think she has had that conversation with them, and I will get back to you on that.
Mr. Todd, Mr. Holt, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. One thing I do have, Mr. Manager, can you tell me where we are in the process right now of hiring our finance director?
Yes, 3 applicants were interviewed in person. That was following virtual interviews earlier. And of those virtual interviews, we brought 3 in and interviewed them last Friday. And the next step is we're bringing 2 candidates back to do some exercises to hopefully give us more insight into what they can do besides the interview itself. And those are being scheduled this week. I'm not sure if they will both happen this week, but they're being scheduled this week.
So I guess hopefully maybe in the next 30 days, we'll have somebody here.
Depending on if there's an offer made, depends on probably the notice that they would need to work where they are, but potentially.
Thank you.
Mr. Ingram,
No,
Mr. Claggett.
I just have one question. Who maintains automobile titles? Is it administrative department, or is it the department that the vehicle's assigned to? Or
Well, that's a fair question. Said the manager who spent last week searching for 5 car titles for the sheriff's office. My understanding is that we haven't had a safe deposit box, and that those have been kept in files within administration, not in individual departments. And so the situation was we had several related to these auctions of the sheriff's office, we had several titles to sign, and we were missing 5, and we have tried to track those down, have not been able to find them, and are applying for duplicate title for those.
thank you.
So the auction that we just had,
This past Saturday morning,
Was
the
titled-
sheriff's office auctioned off 9 vehicles. There are others. There was always going to be a second round of those, or a second auction rather. And so those vehicles that will come next, my understanding, are a little bit more complicated, and maybe Commissioner Ingram can add to this conversation in that those had some maybe estate issues, title issues, things that were going to take longer to resolve. So that auction, I'm not sure if a date has been scheduled, but I know we at least need to wait for those duplicate titles for the 5 vehicles to come back.
All right, announcements, upcoming events, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Board of Adjustment meeting. The 23rd, Planning Board meeting at the library, the 27th, hoedown here in town from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. And our next meeting will be 3 weeks from tonight, October the 6th, here in the historic courthouse at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3. Do I have a motion to go into closed session? Motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All those opposed. We now sit in closed session.